In the middle of the Pacific Ocean lies a city built on 92 artificial islands, constructed with 750,000 tons of basalt, all without the use of pulleys, levers, or metal tools. It is a feat of engineering that rivals the pyramids of Giza, yet it sits largely forgotten, slowly sinking into a mangrove swamp on the edge of a remote volcanic island. This is Nan Madol, a megalithic marvel that defies the conventional understanding of prehistoric architectural capabilities. It is the only ancient city ever built entirely upon a coral reef, and its existence poses a question that archaeology is still struggling to answer. Why would a civilization choose to build their capital in the most difficult place imaginable? To find Nan Madol, one must travel to the island of Pohnpei, part of the Federated States of Micronesia. Here, on the island's eastern shore, the ruins stretch across nearly 18 square kilometers. From above, the city looks like a series of geometric platforms separated by a network of tidal canals, earning it the nickname, the Venice of the Pacific. But unlike Venice, which was built on wooden piles in a sheltered lagoon, Nan Madol was constructed using massive columns of naturally occurring volcanic rock. Between 1100 and 1600 AD, this was the ritual and political seat of the Saudeleur Dynasty, the first organized government to unite the clans of Pohnpei. For 500 years, the Saudeleurs ruled from this water-bound fortress, creating a society that was as sophisticated as it was arguably oppressive. The sheer scale of the construction is difficult to comprehend. The basalt used to build the city consists of massive, hexagonal columns formed by ancient volcanic activity. These stones were not quarried in a traditional sense. They were harvested from various sites across Pohnpei, where the lava had cooled into these distinct geometric shapes. Some of these individual stones weigh as much as 50 tons. Modern estimates suggest that the total weight of the basalt moved to this site is roughly 750,000 tons. For a culture that did not use the wheel and had no access to metal, the logistical challenge of transporting these stones from the opposite side of the island is staggering. Local legend offers a supernatural explanation for how this was achieved. Pohnpeian oral history tells of two twin sorcerers, Olosopa and Olosispa, who arrived from a distant land seeking a place to build an altar to their gods. According to the myth, they used their magical powers to levitate the massive basalt columns, flying them through the air and setting them perfectly into place. While researchers look for more grounded explanations, the legend persists because the physical reality of the construction is so baffling. Engineers have theorized that the builders must have used large rafts made of bamboo or breadfruit wood to float the stones during high tide, navigating them through the treacherous coral reefs. However, a 50-ton stone would swamp almost any vessel the Pohnpeians could have constructed at the time. Even if the stones were moved by water, the effort required to lift and stack them into walls that reach 15 meters high, without the aid of mechanical advantage, suggests a level of social organization and labor mobilization that was unprecedented in Oceania. As we investigate the layout of Nan Madol, the purpose of this difficult location begins to emerge. The city was not just a home for the elite, it was a mechanism of control. By forcing the local chiefs and high-ranking priests to live within the city's walls, the Saudeleur kings could keep their rivals under constant surveillance. The city was divided into two main sectors. Madol Pao, the upper town, served as the religious and mortuary center, while Madol Pah, the lower town, functioned as the administrative and residential area. The centerpiece of the entire complex is Nandoas, the mortuary enclosure. This massive structure features walls nearly 8 meters thick, protecting a central tomb where the Saudeleur kings were laid to rest. Archaeological mapping of the site has revealed a complex system of tunnels and chambers beneath these structures, some of which may have served as ritual spaces or defensive bunkers. The precision of the stonework in Nan Madol is remarkable. The basalt logs are stacked in an alternating header and stretcher pattern, a technique that provided the stability necessary to withstand centuries of tropical storms and shifting tides. However, life in this magnificent city was far from easy. Nan Madol has no natural source of fresh water and no way to grow food. Everything, from drinking water to taro and fish, had to be brought in by boat from the main island. This environmental precariousness was a deliberate choice. It meant that the residents of Nan Madol were entirely dependent on the mainland populations for their survival, and conversely, it allowed the Saudeleurs to demonstrate their absolute power by commanding the constant flow of resources to their artificial island fortress. But this tyranny eventually led to the dynasty's collapse. Oral histories describe the later Saudeleur kings as increasingly cruel, imposing impossible demands on their subjects. The fall of the city is attributed to a legendary warrior named Saudeleur, who led an invasion from the island of Sorcery. According to tradition, Saudeleure's forces overthrew the last Saudeleur king, who fled into the sea and was transformed into a bluefish. While the details are steeped in myth, archaeological evidence confirms a significant shift in the site's use around the early 17th century. The centralized power of the Saudeleurs vanished, and Nan Madol was gradually abandoned. The monumental effort required to maintain the city simply wasn't sustainable, once the political structure that forced its upkeep disappeared. Today, Nan Madol is a site in peril. The very coral reef that serves as its foundation is being affected by rising sea levels, and the dense mangrove forests are slowly prying the basalt columns apart. Because the city was built on the edge of the open ocean, it is constantly battered by the elements, and many of the outer islands have already been reclaimed by the Pacific. Despite its status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the logistical difficulty of preserving a city built on water remains as daunting today as its construction was 1,000 years ago. The greatest mystery of Nan Madol is not just how it was built, but why the builders chose to anchor their civilization to the sea. They turned their backs on the fertile soil and freshwater springs of the main island to inhabit a place of salt and stone. Perhaps it was for defense, or perhaps it was a grand architectural statement of the triumph of human will over the natural world. As the tides continue to rise and the mangroves thicken, the Venice of the Pacific is slowly returning to the ocean, taking the final secrets of the Saudeleur kings with it. We are left to wonder how many other chapters of human history lie submerged, waiting for the tide to go out one last time.